Good evening and welcome once again to the Lotus Flower Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Pamela Robinson, and I am super excited once again to have you back in the virtual and audio spaces with me. The Lotus Flower Podcast is a biblically based educational podcast. We purposely are here to encourage, motivate, and to empower you to live your best life, knowing that it is the flower that blooms in adversity that is the greatest of them all, the Lotus Flower Podcast. This evening, I have a very special guest with me once again. He is coming to the podcast for the second time. He was one of my very first guests when I first started the podcast, and I was so taken back by his excellent presentation and his content and the quality of what he does in his both professional life and in his personal life as an actual podcaster as well. So I wanted him to come back and show you that being an African American gentleman isn't a monolith. And the reason I say that is because my friend, he marches to the beat of his own drum. All African American men don't have to do the same thing: play basketball, football, chase women, watch Netflix over and over and over and over again, speak Ebonics, have a big car with shiny wheels, with spinners. They don't all have to have, 4 or 5 girlfriends or fancy clothes or know the latest rap songs. Those are all stereotypical things that we sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes we make actually stereotype and think, well, this makes up an African American male. But my friend this evening, he is an African American male that has broken outside of that stigma of what it means to be an African American male and be what I call a monolith. And so I am happy to bring to you this evening my friend, Mr. Wayne Bond II. Mr. Wayne Bond II is my special guest tonight for the second time, once again, on the Lotus Flower Podcast. He is the Assistant Director for Campus Engagement at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Mr. Bond joined the Career and Student Employment Services in 2017 as a career development specialist. He brings experience of collaborating with people from all over the world. In that role, Wayne sought to establish a culture in which the decisions and roles taken on by students at Western Michigan University could be reframed to prepare them for their aspirations after graduating from WMU. Prior to joining CSES, Wayne spent over 6 years coordinating events, programs, and activities with WMU's Haenicke Institute for Global Education. In 2022, Wayne took on a different position of a higher role at Western Michigan University as the Assistant Director for Campus Engagement. He is responsible for the shared development, implementation, and supervision of comprehensive campus engagement programs that promote student development and meets the needs of a diverse university community. He completed his undergraduate degree at Albion College, where he was a member of the Sigma Nu fraternity and the collegiate basketball team. Wayne completed his master's degree in 2015 within the political science department with a focus on international administration development. When he is not working or studying, Wayne can be found relaxing with a book or catching up on his favorite shows like The Game of Thrones or My American Academia. Wayne loves to write. He loves online directing of videos depicting various themes and lessons within anime, alongside of reading videos, going through all types of amazing adventures as he shares the reading videos on his YouTube channel. Once again, I am so excited to have with me my friend, none other than Mr. Wayne Bond. We are going to have an invigorating conversation this evening about what it means to be an adult in 2023. The Lotus Flower Podcast, Season 3, Episode number 25. Before I bring my guests on to the live platform, I would like for you to take a look at his YouTube channel. I will share that with you now. This is Mr. Wayne Bond's YouTube channel, and it is entitled Wayne Reads. I'd like for you to take a look at the channel with me. This channel that Mr. Wayne Reed has developed has over 257 videos. It airs every Monday and Friday. And as you can see from the colorful backdrop, the books that he shares are books that have a theme for children. So he reads the books and he has a listening audience of not only children, but I believe of adults as well, as he reads these invigorating stories to them. And he has even gone into a classroom or maybe several classrooms and shared from Wayne Reed's videos. In your leisure, I would like for you to take time out and peruse his website. Look at the videos, look at the playlist, look into his channel, and most importantly, I would like for you to like, comment, and subscribe to his channel, Wayne Reads. In doing so, each time that his videos go live, you will be able to have that video drop right into your inbox, and you'll never miss an episode of Wayne Reads. And also, I have a very special treat for you from Wayne at the end of the podcast episode tonight. He has agreed to share a short story with us before we end the podcast this evening. So stay tuned tonight to the Lotus Flower Podcast when I am going to talk with my friend, Mr. Wayne, doing this invigorating conversation about what it means to be an adult in 2022. Join us, won't you? And share this podcast episode with your social media network. Let them know that Dr. Pamela is streaming live once again right here on the YouTube channel and on the Facebook channel, live on the Dr. Pamela Robinson Facebook channel and streaming live on the Lotus Flower YouTube channel. And now I'm going to have my guest, none other than Mr. Wayne Bond, join us this evening. Good evening
Good evening.
and welcome to the Lotus Flower Podcast once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And I want you to treat our guests at this time in any way that you would.
Oh, anyway, that would. Well, hello, everyone. I hope you're ready for another adventure because Wayne Reeds is just here to have a nice conversation. And hopefully, we all come away with something amazing.
That's good. Thank you. And that's what I wanted because you have that awesome channel that I was just telling our guests about. And I really wanted them to be able to hear you do that Wayne Reed voice that I've heard on numerous of occasions. And I truly appreciate it. And I really, really, really enjoy your channel. But tonight, we're not going to talk specifically about Mr. Reed's channel. We're going to talk about what does it mean to be an adult in 2023, season 3, episode number 25. Before we go a bit further, however, into our conversation, I want to be able to kind of just kick back a little bit and do some chit chatting with you, my friend. I want to know a little bit more about you. I know a little bit about you. I've read your bio here, but we know bios are just all clean cut and we make sure that they say just what we need them to say. So who's the guy behind the camp of tonight? Tell us a little bit about you, where you come from, what do you do, what are your passions, what drives Mr. Wayne?
I think what drives Mr. Wayne is just a sense to really be who he is. I'm a proud son of 2 military Army soldiers, and I was grateful enough to be able to see the world before a lot of who I was formed. Being able to travel and have everyone sound differently and think differently and have a different understanding of the world really allows for me to just be who I am. And that's one of those discoveries that I had to have. But now at the ripe old time of 35 and enjoying all the grays that are coming in, it's being able to settle into a role where on campus, I am just, hey, that's Mr. Wayne. That's someone who really saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at some point. Or that's Wayne. That's just who's just a big goofball. In many cases, I'm serious and I have a job to do. But in other cases, I, again, am my own person. So now it's really just settling into the fall, being able to enjoy a little bit more teaching and a lot less administrative work, and really starting to let my channels really just grow. So having a lot of fun there. And settling into college football and pro football is back. So Wayne is also very happy there too. I'll admit that.
That's right. Amen. You're not the only gentleman that I heard say that. Believe me, that they're really happy. They've changed their whole schedule around to make sure.
I have not gone that far. I have my 2 teams. It's not like on in the background. For instance, I have I have just a lo-fi music playlist that I've just been doing since 2005, just on in the background. Like I'm not like a sports guy, but right. Texas Tech, Green Bay, whenever they're on, I'm around. So it's nice. And from where I live, it helps me again step apart from everyone else. So.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Now tell us a little bit more about the channel Wayne Reeds and what is Wayne Reeds once again, and how did that get started?
So Wayne Reeds is basically a YouTube channel about adventure, but the adventure is within your mind. I started this as a friend just hitting me up. Hey, Wayne, can you read to a class? I have no idea why she thought of me to be completely honest, but when I did, I have all of a setup because I do other anime podcasting. So all the kids were like, what else do you do? And I'm like, nothing. Do you want me to? And that really rolled into getting artwork done, finding a lot of the books, and just really, as much as I talk about the idea out loud, a lot more people really started like, oh yeah, I really like that idea, especially when they hear my voice, and it's just like, oh yes, I would definitely just want to hear that. Granted, it's categorized in the ASMR realm just because that's kind of what it is now, as you're reading stories. But within that, it's really just, hey, reading's fun. Here's a little adventure from time to time. I have educational stories. I have mini series. I have long series, and I have short series, short books that happen. So, for instance, yesterday, the Fantastic Mr. Fox had its 13th chapter, I want to say, that came out on the channel. So just 13th little video. But this Friday is going to be a Harry Potter chapter. That's going to be from my longer series. Those are a little bit more in depth. It has like the green screen and the background's changing behind me. Whereas when I am just reading the other books, I'm more like I have a friend with me who is Bumblebee. I think it's North Star. Who else is there? Ozzy, and there's a fourth one that I'm forgetting right now. You'll have to excuse me. Madam Owl.
Okay.
So I have a bunch of like I'm not gonna do the quotations. They're my friends. I have a bunch of friends that join me for every story as well, and especially when you're dealing with kids, having them just hang out in the background gives them something to really focus on outside of yourself. So that's really been an evolution of the channel. Just having people say, hey, like, I know like having just you talk is okay, but what about something around in the space? And I'm like, well, I could have a little friend that just joins me, and then it started building from there. And yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun being able to look at my phone and see the graphics for the channel like every day, just like go up and down. It's like, oh, this is really building. It's really growing.
That's good. Cool. That's good. And how can one, like a parent and with a kiddo, join your channel, and when does it air? Once again, I know I announced that a little bit, but I want you to tell us, when does it air and how can they go ahead and start watching and or subscribing to the channel?
Well, literally all you have to do is type in Wayne Reads. It's really just at that. And when those come up, it automatically will take you to Fantastic Mr. Fox is by far the most popular series, but No David is my most popular video. I think it's at somewhere over 25,000 views already, which is for me where I'm at. It's just like, whoa, like this is crazy. I never thought this book of all ones was what people liked, but it brought more people in, and within that, again, the community is very, very, very small. I'm not doing anything as far as memberships or things like that, but I am very much interested in being able to have like videos for people who may like have a family who wants to be like, hey, this is my kid's favorite favorite book. Can you read it? And like maybe a Wednesday requests or something like that. So being very open to, hey, this is my channel. This is where I want to go with it. But if I really want to grow and become better, I do have to listen to people and be open to other stories. Do I need to agree with those stories that I'm putting out? Yes. I'm not going to read a kid's story about something that I find to be horrifying. No, like it's my own personal thing. I have a line to draw, but I'm also not going to sit here and be like, everyone should do this because it's the channel. No, it's about everyone coming together and having a story, because I personally am in love with the idea of the storyteller. When I was traveling this was Peru, actually, I learned about the individual Cocopelli. And within Cocopelli, he is the storyteller who travels the world and really takes what he learns and understands and makes everyone better. So I really latched on to that just identification of just being the storyteller and wanting to be the teller of all types of different stories.
And that's good. And you said you were in Peru, so you were in a different country, and you were able to latch on. Were you able to latch on to some of the Peruvian stories in that country when you were over there? Or were you more so introducing your own stuff into that particular culture?
I
Or
was
did it go
more.
that far?
I did a lot of book hunting. I'm a book hunter, so I did
Mhm.
find a lot of um, small bookstores off on the side. May have gotten one Spanish book, but I'm not that good in Spanish. So being
Mhm.
able to really understand more of the culture was
Mhm.
incredibly fun. I will
Okay.
always suggest going to Peru. Um, I do something where I work abroad. So in my line of work, it can be exhausting being the person who like tells people to do everything. So sometimes I just
Mhm.
want to go and be a bartender somewhere. So
Okay.
this was in 2020. I just took off for 3 weeks and just hung out in Peru, tended bar, and really just got lost in the environment. It was a lot. It was so much fun. It was a lot of fun bringing in the new year in another country. So much fun.
Oh, well, good for you. Good for you. And then you also have a channel. It's a Runaway Warlords anime channel.
Hmm.
And before I ask you a little bit about that, I do want to point out on the screen for all of those that are watching and those that are listening, I have listed Wayne's YouTube channel handle. Go ahead and take a screenshot of that or write it down so that you can make sure you go back and peruse that after this is over this evening. I want you to make sure you look at that and like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, you do have another channel. It's an anime channel. Tell us a
I
little bit
do.
about that. And for those that are listening, some people don't know what anime is. Tell us just a short version of what it is, and a little bit about your channel before we go into our discussion.
Oh, no worries. So, anime is really just short for animation, and it's really more of a cultural way of understanding basically cartoons out of the country of Japan or any type of media styled after the cartoon style from Japan. And people may say, oh, are cartoons really the same thing? And I would definitely argue as no. I actually ran a seminar for individuals over the age of 65 for the Ollie Institute, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute in May, where I did 2 workshops on why anime was a much more broader way of storytelling. As
Mhm.
someone who's part of a generation who was really captivated by anime, it
Mhm.
really, and this also goes into the discussion tonight, really came in a crossroads for me of what it means to be an adult and what it means to be happy. I found myself being in relationships where I was feeling I was kind of being unfaithful because my partner would go to bed and I would just go watch anime because that would
Mhm.
be the only time I personally could view it because they were like, no, adults shouldn't be doing that. I don't want to be around it. So it's like, I was almost like having my own personal life outside of it where you don't have to watch it with me, but you at least have to respect that as an adult.
Mhm.
That's how I spend my
Mhm.
time. So it's
Yeah.
one of those where I've already been in the real life situations of having the nuance of this is a medium that a lot of people may see these are just cartoons and colorful, shiny objects. But
Mhm.
since I'd probably say the age of 12, I've really gravitated towards this as a medium without even really knowing it. It's amazing. My
Mhm.
sister and I are rewatching an anime that we were watching. Oh, I want to say 90s. I want to
Oh
say like
my.
99. I was 11, 12. So 99, 2000, around the turn of the century, which is even
Mhm.
crazier to say out loud. But in that show, it's the same studio of anime that we follow now. So it's one of
Mhm.
those where we're just like, whoa, Bones has been in our lives since we were kids. And literally two
Wow.
decades later, we're still following the stories that they tell. These aren't
Mhm.
the Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, where you go on a 5-minute episode and it goes nowhere. These are
Mhm.
adventures where people learn, people grow, and by extension, you as the audience are able to soak in a story and a worldview that you probably would never be privy to. I was
Yes.
able to better understand PTSD from military and what I
Mhm.
understood growing up watching my father and seeing
Mhm.
this in an anime being like, oh, that's what I saw. Like, so
I
it
see.
it provides it also provides a very nuanced window for us. So
Mhm.
that's really what the Runaway Warlords is for me personally, and for anyone who goes to the channel, you'll see anime is adulting because
Mhm.
in anime are intellectual thoughts and conversations, pushing boundaries and narratives, thoughts on where the future can really go and how we can really treat each other. I think it's more human than just about any other medium of storytelling. And all adults should be able to enjoy storytelling. Like, it's not a kid's thing to want to be told a story. Like, we are just naturally drawn to stories. And that's where
it's very, and it's very relaxing. As you can see behind me, this bookshelf of all, I'll turn this way, of all these different things. Some of these, are stories that my daughters and we actually enjoy reading right now. These stories, even every night before bed, we might come in here, get one of these books. Like, this is one of the favorite ones. And we might read a storybook, and it actually shifts our mind from this hustle, bustle, stress day to relaxation mode, just hearing the words of a book. And so you're correct, and they're actually, most of them are like children's books, and that we enjoy, that we've had in their lives since they were kids. And so thank you for sharing that. Take note, those that are listening and watching, that on the screen I do have Wayne's Runaway Anime channel link here. Take a screenshot of it or write it down. I will be having it come across the screen as we speak this evening. So if you don't get it now, you'll be able to get it. And when you go back and look at that, I want you to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and leave a comment and think outside the box about reading and about watching anime and getting a little bit broader in the things that we do. Some of my listening audience this evening. Once again, we're going to talk this evening as we transition to our conversation about what does it mean to be an adult, particularly not just an adult in 1968 or adult in 1807, but an adult in 2023. Yes, and I'm going to have my guests tell us this evening about this particular topic. And we're going to start off with a thought of, when I think about being an adult in 2023, I'm going to think about the responsibilities that entails when I'm adulting. So tell us a little bit about that and what it entails.
Well, that's the fun part, because really, I first take responsibilities as, hey, just taking care of yourself, being able to understand if you have what responsibilities to whom, what have you, and taking a higher level of responsibility. That's kind of why understanding adulting is really where the individual's at. We can say, oh, this person they're in their 90s and they'll never learn and blah, blah, blah. Are they adulting or where are they at in life? Or we all know the 18 that has the next 30 years of their life planned out to the T, and they're going to change the world. Where are we on the scale as far as responsibilities? And that's the fun part, because really for me, adulting is the state of self-understanding and self-maintenance. So personally, and again, all of us have different understandings of adulting. That's why I like having that ing there, because it can take on so many understandings, if you will. So you're not an adult, you're adulting. And with adulting, what do the responsibilities look like? Because by taking care of yourself, if you have kids, then you're subsequently taking care of those kids by taking care of yourself. Because without you, they're not able to, function, get out of the house, do all those things. So that's why by taking care of yourself and that maintenance, that allows. Now, does that understanding of where the responsibilities go and how stringent to adulting you have to be, that's up to the person. Some person may say, you know what, we're just going out to McDonald's every night, we're eating, that's adulting for me. I probably wouldn't say that's adulting, because you're not necessarily eating what I would personally view is a meal that would allow you to, sustain yourself. It's going to allow you to get up and move for a few hours, but then you're going to be
Right.
sluggish. You're going to be wiping the grease off your face. And then by subsequent ends, like your kids and their environment is not necessarily going to be as, I would say, productive.
Right. Right.
And people may be noticing I'm not necessarily, these are the points, because adulting is, again, a part of this growing conversation.
Exactly.
And that's part of why I really love being myself in this area, because past relationships, this is what it means to be an adult. Then that means I'm adulting. Okay. Like if your definition of what it means to be an adult is that, I want nothing to do with that. I wish you the best. I hope you are all happy in whatever life you live. But if we're talking about the rest of my life, I want to be an adult that, hey, I have responsibilities. I pay my bills. That's a basic maintenance. You're taking care of yourself. I'm able to sustain relationships that allow me to grow as a person. And that personally is where that maintenance part comes in. Because for me, your responsibilities can be challenged. And sometimes it's okay to admit, and this is a big part about adulting, is that sometimes you can't fulfill all your responsibilities.
Exactly.
That's a very big thing to have to understand. Sorry, cut you off.
And when you can't fulfill all your responsibilities, what should one do that is in that adulting continuum? Like you said, it's way up, some are way up here, and some may be way down here. Some may be in the middle. So they're on a continuum, and they can't fulfill those responsibilities. So at that point, what should they do?
Admit that they can't. I think that is the true definition. Sorry, the true bottom line of adulting is admitting that you can't do something. And oh my goodness, a man just said that. A man that said he can't do something. That was the biggest thing that I had to come to terms with as just a real human being. Really going into my 30s, is like there are things I cannot do. Like a lot of things do not make sense to me with a lot of things at work. I'm telling everyone, I have to work harder at like a lot of communication tactics because a lot of things just don't compute for me. So I have to go those extra miles to get that input and understand those things. So really having to grow and understanding that your responsibility is to kind of force you to grow. When someday I want to be a parent, I would like at least one. And I would hope that responsibility of being a parent then forces me to grow in a way that I'm not privy to now.
I see.
My responsibilities now as an assistant director are much more different than my responsibilities as a career development specialist. And it's forcing me to grow in a much more elastic way. But it's also a responsibility that I have to take seriously. And it's one that I do. And when individuals around me don't, I do find frustration because it's not that I'm saying that they're not adulting. Everyone adults differently, but I'm taking these responsibilities of my career very seriously.
I see.
So I'm not telling you should take it seriously as well, but you should at least approach this environment with a level of understanding and respect, because this is a responsibility here.
And why, when we spoke about the topic that you wanted to talk about this evening, you said, well, I'd like to talk about, you gave me several very excellent topics to choose from, and we landed on this one. But I wanted to know, as I was thinking about this, I said, I wonder why Wayne chose to add on the specific year of 2023. And you could have put down, what does it mean to be an adult in 20, way down the line? We could have been futuristic. We could have said in 2030, what does it mean to be an adult? Because we're thinking futuristic, flying cars, driverless cars, all that stuff. We can get in and we can actually sit here and I can actually have myself, actually teleported actually into a whole nother atmosphere. They're working on it. or you could have said, what does it mean to be an adult in the 1960s when we had so much of that racial unrest going on? Not that we don't now, but it's packaged a different way and tied up real pretty. But right now, you could have chose any of those types of years. So why did you choose? How does it look to be this adult in like 2023? What was the significance of that number?
Well, one, it has to do with me. I'm an adult in 2023, so that helps.
Okay.
But
okay.
Also, in a more meta sense, I do believe that personally, taking all the relationships into account, this is a turning point for us individually, us as a state in Michigan, and really us as a country, just relationships. We're getting further and further away from just having conversations and admitting, hey, agree to disagree. We see things differently. Can we at least understand? I at least admit that your vantage point is from where you're at and only where you're at, and maybe it's not everyone's vantage point. Like getting a little bit more away from there and only into whoever agrees with us, which for me is boring. Like I firmly believe that if you are just around people saying the same thing that you, what do you have to talk about? Honestly,
right?
So in that context, I do believe that, especially within 2023, whether it's social media, whether it's in person, whether it's politics, whether it's sports aren't as crazy, but well, depending on if you're a Michigan Ohio State fan, but in any of those contexts, but in any of those contexts, like the communication and the relationships, like this is one of the most isolated groups of young adults because the lack of friends are going down in communities, and I understand that people are moving, people are being more isolated because of beliefs, but I also will say that a lot of people are too exhausted, they're working too many hours, and I also believe, especially in like just working relationships and how we treat each other, 2023 is being huge. I am a workers' rights advocate. I am firmly on the side of the unions right now, whether it's the writers union, whether it's the UAW union for the auto workers, because those relationships with those people are my community. So if I can't support my community when they really need to earn a more living wage so they can drive and go have those adventures and go on vacations. A lot of people can't afford vacations anymore. So how we afford them to how are they going to be an adults and have a time off and have that vacation when they're just constantly driving themselves into the ground? Like,
and then build those relationships outside of just the work setting or outside of social media. You know, we can sit and talk with someone through social media all day and all night, but to actually get into someone's presence and touch them and feel them, experience them in their presence with you, the relationships are significant. And when you talked about 2023, and yes, you're an adult in 2023, when I thought about that, I thought about all the different things that are taking place now. So many innovative things are going really, really fast, are happening quickly. You know, with Elon Musk and all he's doing with social media, with our cars, like I talked about, I was joking, but with the driverless vehicles that they're testing now, and all of that, you know, and then you have this AI intelligence that is very prevalent now. You know, all I have to do is type in something into my Google search, and before I know it. You know, I have all these search things that are coming up in my search engine tracking what I just put in. I may just been searching about flowers. I don't want to know everything about it every single day, but that's your artificial intelligence that's there. Just all types of things happening in 2023 for us that are adulting. And sometimes we might want to shirk back because there's so much going on. There's so many things that are bombarding us. It just gets to be overwhelming at times, you know.
Well, it distracts against the other relationships. Let's be honest. Like the running joke was when the phones really got smart was, no one has conversations anymore because we're all just doing this.
That's right.
And that's very true. That's very true.
Right.
This is as an activity sport. as someone who oversees campus events, we are grappling with an understanding that today's teenagers are not going out and running down the railroad track and having some movie with a banjo in the background or anything like that, right? Or they're not like my generation where they were causing ruckus and getting in trouble at the local schools and the skate parks. Their versions of hanging out are sitting in their rooms with their phones, talking to their friends that are literally next door. They're not sitting next to each other. So this is how the relationships are starting to look in 2023. And as an adult, I find myself having to say, hey, I'm having a bonfire. If I have at least one or two people come over, I'm feeling a lot better in that situation because I've never really done that, having people over or those type of things. And now as I start to get into 2023 and understand adulting, how big do I want my social network? Do I want to be at the bar every night? No. Like that was adulting when I was 22. I was adulting in 2010. What does adulting look like in 2023? It looks like understanding, hey, I can go out and enjoy myself after post-COVID and feel comfortable. I have a mask. So if someone starts coughing next to me, I'll admit, I'll put it on. Like, I'm not. This is about me, not about you. So, So in that context, I am much more comfortable maintaining myself, and there's that part of being able to self-maintain, understanding how I am viewed in the world and how I go about it, and just how I love myself on a daily basis. Whether that's the food I eat, being able to go outside with the pups, or just texting my parents, like I'm gonna have a call with my dad Thursday. I haven't talked to him in a few months. It's just being able to have those relationships as an adult, which is not what I thought was going to happen. Kids, wife, family, what have you. But the fact that I don't have those doesn't mean I'm lesser than. It doesn't mean that my life is horrible. It doesn't mean that I'm not happy. This is the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Exactly. How, if you had to, let's sit back and think a moment, if you had to define what a productive and fruitful relationship looks like for you in 2023, how would that look, and how would you define that for our listening audience and those that are watching?
Mutual understanding. And that's not personal understanding. You can have personal understanding, but you have to actually hear someone else. So probably like an 80-20 of your own, 80% of your own understanding, and then allow for that 20% to come in, because that 20% is really the relationship. I'm not a person who's like, they're my other half and I'm 50% and all that, but no, they're a part of you. They're part of who you are, and whether that's a romantic relationship, personal relationship, like that, it's still not allowing yourself to have input from them, and that's again that 80%, 20% relationship that it comes into play.
And is there room for movements? Like, is it a fluid type of situation that you're describing? Or is it something that is just black and white and very rigid?
That's fun, because I'm all about the individual freedom of the narrative. So that's why I would be like, yeah, if it fits you, and if it fits you 50% for relationships, go for it. But personally, there's that level of not necessarily mutual understanding, but then just co-understanding, to where if, for instance, going back to prior relationships, like, no, this is it. This is the reality. And I'm like, no, that's the reality that you've grown up in, but I have no idea about this reality. So if you're not telling me, then I don't know what the heck's going on. Like, like there's those types of understandings where, oh, we're supposed to be at 50% and all of this, and okay, cool. We do nothing in regards to the things that I enjoy, how I spend my time. It's all you. So in that point it's more 90-10, and I'm not okay with that. And that's me personally. Some people could be. It's not me. It's not me.
Yes. So when adulting in 2023, and we have this 90-10 situation going on, and we know that definitely isn't equal. What would one do that want to continue on adulting and not pull back and maybe go back into more of a immature type of state? So what would you recommend that they would do at that time?
Well, adulting is hard decisions. Like, let's be honest.
That's right.
Adulting is admitting, hey, this isn't working. It's being able to put in the time. It's not be like, oh, it's been 2 weeks. Sorry, bye.
Okay.
But after like 2 or 3 years, it's like, no, this is not working. We've gone through multiple Christmases, multiple holidays. As far as growing together, we're not growing together, and that's a big thing as well. Because, like, I'm a different person than I was. Let's say 30. I was a completely different person. So I would say completely different person from then. That's only 5 years ago. Huge difference between myself at 30 and 25. And then, so I would say over the last 10, 15 years, there's 4 different versions of who I am. And if I would have, and I'll admit, I was able to reunite with a college crush May, and no, it's a hard no. Like 14 years later, someone I literally would have crawled through glass to be able to just get her attention. It's just no.
Wow.
And that's a very sobering just understanding of what I thought. And I'm glad you made that turn, because relationships and what everyone said was going to make you happy, like falling in love, and we had that passion. It was going to be all of this. And now just having a conversation in our 30s, it's like, we're completely different people. I am not interested, like, at all. Like, go you. You're a great human being. You live your life as your own shining star, but I'm good. Like, she called me a few times after, and that's the funny part, because she called me and I was just like, why is she calling me? Where, again, 14 years ago, I'd have been like, over the moon.
Yes.
Like, what I thought was going to make me happy didn't.
It just didn't. But let me add this into the mix. When you think about it, think about relationships. We both have had them. And when we're in these relationships, we get on them, and first and foremost, it's like, it's a honeymoon time, and everyone's so excited, and I'm just learning about you, and you're learning about me, and I'm putting my best foot forward and all. I've got my nice perfume on, and I'm all fixed up, and then the male, he might have his whatever cologne, and you're just looking all Chave and all, and Suave and all these things, really trying to just put that superficial face on. But yet and still, after a while, all those things kind of get washed to the side, and even though we're adulting, I'm gonna go ahead and say this, and people might say, oh my goodness, even the intimacy part of it is just really good when you first start out, just can't get enough. But after a while, even those things get old. And then this is the point I wanted to make. You said you were 20, and then you had relationships, and you were 30 and you had relationships, and 35. And then myself, having relationships and being married for a significant period of time. We changed, though, from the 20-year-old person in relationship to that person. If you were married and you were in a relationship or had a significant other, and you met with them at 20, and you even stayed with them till you were 25. At 25, Wayne is going to be someone altogether different. Will that person be able to grow with you and adult with you through the stages of 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, all the way up to 35? Those changes are going to take place, and the adulting is going to cause you to have to face the music. There will be some trials in your life, some tribulations, some hardships that will make you want to quit, make you want to get out of that relationship and call it quits? Or will the adulting part of you sit back, take a good look at the environment, a good picture of what's going on, and a good picture of my commitment with this person? Am I committed to this person? Or was I just committed to those superficial things, to the sex? Was I just committed to how the outward exterior appearance and how she made me feel and all of that?
What did I
Adulting.
think that they had?
Yes. What did I think they had? When you talked about that woman and you said, I would just run through glass for her. But after a while, years later, like, oh no, I don't think so. So talk to me a little bit about that and the audience. Hey, y'all that are listening. I see there are some that are on, and welcome this evening for those that are listening and watching. Talk to us tonight about what what everyone said is going to make you so happy. It's going to make you happy. I'm going to be dancing on the ceiling, Wayne. And then it doesn't. Tell us a little bit about that, and let's expound on that as we move further into this conversation about adulting in 2023.
I think that is the general dynamic of every millennial and Gen Z person, to be completely
okay. What do you mean by that, please?
There's a lot of people in different formats where you're just like, go to college and you'll be happy. Make a lot of money and you'll be happy. Have a wife and kids and you'll be happy. I'm like, I know people who have wife and kids and like they don't like each other. And it's sad. It's really sad. But that's what everyone said was going to make them happy. You have things like make a lot of money and you're going to be happy. I know someone in my life who has like millions of dollars in stocks. One of the most miserable people I have ever seen.
Oh my.
Always wants to be inebriated, never wants to take accountability for their actions. And it's just like, are you happy? Because you don't look happy. You look miserable. But okay. And it's sad because I can see like some of my friends who are going into that realm of, oh yeah, I just got X amount of money, blah, blah, blah. Cool. I'm going to go volunteer with all these people over here. You have fun with that. And they're just like, I'm having fun at the gym. It was like, all right, bro. All right, cool. So
are you saying that money doesn't make us happy? Are you saying having a lot of money does not equate to happiness?
I'm saying that money can make you comfortable, but it can't make you happy.
And I concur. Money, you can have lots of money. You can go on vacations. You can go to Aruba. You can take a trip over to Germany. You can go to South Africa. You can go around the world. You can have so much money until you can just you can actually lay in the money. You know what I'm saying?
Go screw for the duck.
But still, internally, I believe happiness, and I like to fashion it as joy, is found on the inside, and it actually overflows to the outside. If internally your emotional state isn't happy and at peace and at rest, you can dress it up all day and all night, but you're still going to wake up in the morning looking in the mirror at that same person and all of that money, and you're still going to be one most miserable person in all.
And let's say that you're on the opposite end and you spend your entire life devoted to getting it. What do you miss out on? How many bike rides? How many times just playing catch in the backyard or just sitting around and reading a book? Subtle plug.
Right.
It's one of those things where what types of things are you not looking at when you spend your time looking at what everyone tells you to look at?
Exactly. And smell the roses, right? You should there's sometimes in life we've got to stop and smell the roses. And that's an old saying, but and it's a cliche, but it's true. We got to slow down sometimes and enjoy what's around us. Take a moment, walk. We have so many trails here in North Carolina. So just walking through the nature trails down here and looking at the sunset. Yes, looking at the trees, bugs. We have different types of bugs than we have in Michigan, and they're huge, Wayne. The bugs down here, they are like huge. They must eat all this good Southern food or something because I tell you, and just I just really enjoy looking at the water and the lakes and the wind and just the smells are different. It actually soothes me and it brings internal happiness that it spills over into others, and
Mm,
all. And so what used to make me happy many, many years ago, and as an adult, does not make equate to what makes me happy now. Doesn't take a whole lot. And so I'm glad that you brought that point out. And I'm glad that you brought out the point because there are so many people that are in this rut thinking that I've got to be happy because I've got to have a mate. I got to have this person with me that defines me. And it means that I am truly, a woman, or I am truly a man, or I'm truly, who I am because this person is with me and they define me and they actually finish me, my finishing product. But you don't want to rush into something, do you? Because if you rush into it, then what will happen in the long run is it's going to be disastrous and you're going to regret it and you're not going to be happy. And adulting is going to be very, very difficult at that time, won't it?
hmm Because on the
It will.
spectrum that they'll be at, maybe they're not able to take care of themselves, and then they can't really maintain.
That's exactly right. And that brings us to this point about the stress of it all. When you are trying to adult and actually live that way because you're trying to please other people, or you've got this air you got to put on, you know, I've got to be a certain way because, we know that certain people think that certain Black people are a monolith,
Mhm.
meaning that we're all the same and we all have to do the same thing and we all have to dress the same way and we all have to listen to the same music and go to the same restaurants and eat fried chicken and watermelon, and know the latest rap songs. Not that I'm typecasting anyone this evening that is listening and or watching, but these have been some of the stereotypes that come forth from our race, and we know that.
Yeah.
But I want to say that, we're not all a monolith and we are different, and stress can be put on you because you're trying to be something that you're not. So the stressors of being an adult were not in some generations. Now that we're in the generation that we're in right now, Wayne, but in the generations prior to us, there were different stressors. But now, in the generation that we find ourselves in now, we have different stressors. So let's talk about what the stressors are about being an adult that were not in play a generation ago. So now we're in 2023 and we have these stressors. And I was born in 1963 and there was stressors going on there. Graduated high school in 82. Okay. So I'm like a dinosaur. No, I'm just trying. And yet, but there were different stressors. So talk to us tonight about the stressors and let's do it like a little comparative for our older people that are listening tonight and those millennials that may be listening and watching and are going to listen and watch later on. Let's hear some of that wisdom that you have for us.
If I could put it into one word, it's information.
That's right. That's
Information,
right.
downright, I would say, is the number one stressor of what it means to be an adult as a part of generation ago, because I wouldn't say you're more well informed because the information that you're getting could not be, I would say, up to date or functional. Let's just say functional. I don't want to say correct, but functional information. So the information that is just constantly around you to the point where we're going to be making difficult decisions as just human beings and a society, like just off of the information that people are putting out there as far as you have doctored photos as far as like dating sites or things like that, but what happens when North Korea puts out a deep fake of Biden saying he's going to war with China? Like they're getting good enough to like videos and stuff like that where they can just like put stuff out there and just be like, all right, have fun. Or that could just be someone in their basement. Like, it's the amount of information out there that's available, I would say, is awe-inspiring. Because it's not to say that there have never been racists around, but with the spread of information and the ability to consolidate information and gather and share information, they're much more, I would say, not in demand, but much more active, I would say, just because their avenue to spread information is much more apparent, which causes people like me stress because I work at a university. These are things where it's people finding out that XY group is there and then coming to boycott.
Right.
What? Like, what? Who? That's not something from 100 years ago, because they wouldn't know what was happening from Kalamazoo to Battle Creek, where now you have people coming from states and states over to fight on like a kid's classroom that may or may not have a litter box for the cat that's in the classroom, but everyone's like, oh, it's for the kids. It's like, we can't even give the kids an education. How are we getting them litter boxes? Like, come on now. Let's think rationally here. But again, that's the information is causing people to, I'm not going to tell them their stress is wrong. I can say that it's misplaced.
I see.
It's misplaced. But like, it's sheer information out there, how you should look, how you should think, how you should feel. And then that the information ability allows you to then sound off in these echo chambers where I have to catch myself. And that's part of that self-maintenance part, going to therapy, having tough discussions with family members of like, this is what's happening. This is what's happening in my head. This is how I understand it. Which again, that information that I can now give forth, I mean, it's not even 100 years ago, but 20, 25 years ago, Black men talking about what's going on between their ears would never happen.
Right. Oh, no.
The ultimate
not in a million years.
Whereas now I'm like, I have to, because there's so much information going on, or I'm going to go out. Like,
that's right.
So I would say it's definitely information would be a number one stressor as an adult, because as a kid, you're like, all right, cool. Is this true? I don't know. Unfortunately, that information can become the backbone of your belief as you become an adult, which can definitely be a stressor. I'm an international person. For some people, when they hear that, it's like, oh, he's coming to take our jobs. But for other people, there could be honest disagreement with understandings, cultures, what have you. That's perfectly fine. That's a conversation that we can have. But it shouldn't stress you out that someone from a different language, religion, ethnic group, diet.
Right.
The fact that people are like, oh, they're going to get rid of our hamburgers. No one's taking your hamburgers. Chill. Like, that information is stressing people out. It shouldn't stress you out. No one's coming for your burger. Like, I'll be the first I'll meet you on the picket line, brother. They're not coming for my steak. Like,
exactly. Or, we have so many different diets out there. We got these fat-free diets, and we got the gluten-free diets and all those types of things. And people, from other generations maybe never embraced those types of things and whatnot. And when you talked about the stress of the generation as well, you have people that are maybe in their 70s, 80s, like 85 in there, that maybe don't embrace all this social media, and they're being left behind because maybe they won't get on social media. They won't be able to, maybe they don't even choose to use a computer or a laptop or desktop. Maybe they don't even choose to have a smartphone. And do you think that those people may be under some type of stress because they're not, actually living up to what today's generation thinks that they should be doing?
Oh, it couldn't even be that. It could just be the stress of a lot of people may have difficulty ordering food because everything is like, if you want to order delivery, you have to go through an app. That's a new stressor for someone who just doesn't want a smartphone because you don't want to get the app to have the Chinese food delivered. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge stressor, and they just wanted their darn Chinese food.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new stressor that they have to have just because of that technology that, for better or worse, inability or lack, financial gain or not, they can't have access to.
And that equates to adulting as well, right? That's another
Mm-hmm.
part of adulting, meaning that we've got to realize that adulting is on a continuum, right? Your way of looking at adulting, like you said, and my way of looking at adulting could be way far apart, or they could be even closer together, like this. And if you ask me, that is okay. Do you think that everyone has to, if you're 35, then you have to live a certain way and do certain things and have smartphones and be on social media and, you know, and all those types of things?
I want no part
It's
of it
very,
because like most people would say like I should have a 10-year-old right about now or so, like some kid getting ready for their teens. I'm like, I can barely take care of my dogs. Like it'll come when it comes and I have my kids, but like Hagrid and Cloud, they're enough for me. Like I'm good. I'm good with puppies. That and
Mhm.
that's the big part of it is like what do adults do? I say constantly grow. Like you have kids who develop and learn and grow and all that, but for me adulting is admitting that you don't know everything
Mhm.
and being able to also be able to get better from that. I constantly want to get better as a human
Mhm.
being, but also as an adult, whether it's the
Mhm.
technology around me, being able to understand the new people that come into my world, or
Mhm.
just myself as a human being. Like all those three things require me to grow. If
Mhm.
I am not growing, then in 5 years from now, when that new oh wow, it will be because the 20,
Yeah.
25, 30, just realize that you
Oh
caught me
yeah.
on a good year. You caught me on a good year. So like in five
Yes.
years when 40-year-old Wayne is rocking out, hopefully with not all gray, but we'll see how the salt and pepper, we'll see how it works.
Did your
But
dad gray at 40? Does your dad gray at 40? Maybe that would be a telltale
well, that's the
sign.
thing. He doesn't have a beard. He's so his gray whiskers started peeking out when he was in those late 50s, just because
Okay.
he was all mustache, never
I
beard.
see. Okay.
Yeah,
So I
it's
was trying to give you a little telltale sign and maybe look back at that and see.
no, he's got a good widow's peak now though, so that's something to look forward to.
Okay. Okay. So adults, what do adults do in 2023? And you talked a little bit about what they do, but a few other things that they do before we transition into your reading that short story for us.
Oh, hey, buddy. I would say contribute. And the pups just came in, so don't mind them. So I would definitely
Okay.
say contribute. Being an adult in 2023 isn't necessarily about just standing by the sidelines and letting life pass you by, whether that's personal, professional, or in relationships. Now is really a great a time as ever. There's
Mhm.
no more. There's never been no more time for free love for people to just love whoever they want, and I think that's also a part of being an adult. Like I was terrified. One of my friends, his engagement fell apart, and I went to go see him. I was terrified of where he was,
Mhm.
and he came out as bi to me. And it was
Mhm.
one of those wasn't one of those things where it was romantic or anything, but it was thank goodness you're okay. Thank
Mhm.
goodness that you can be and love whoever you want. And I cried because someone that I truly cared about is finally free to just be the adult that they want to be.
I
He's not the
see.
kid who's hiding anymore to be whoever and do whatever he thought people said was going to make him happy. He's living his
Mhm.
life. And now
Mhm.
he's not this alter ego that we called him by the nickname. It's his name. And I
I
love
see.
that person just as much as everyone else. So, and it's so also being able to just be a professional, whether you're a man or woman. A lot of people are like, oh, the population decline is because women are working too much, or because they want to be their own person, and it's the United States of America, so they should be able to. Just
Mhm.
saying. Who would have thought?
Yes.
Crazy ideas. Freedom for women. And I do
Yes.
think that is both double-sided. I know a lot of people who will recoil when a woman will say, I want to be a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
Oh, and it's like, if they can afford it, let them. Who cares?
Yes. Mhm.
That's the adulting way. That's their version of adulting. If she wants
Mhm.
to then have hobbies or do whatever, or she wants to be a full stay-at-home mom, fine. As
Mhm.
long as they are not doing anything illegal, it's none
Mhm.
of my business.
And on the
Um,
flip side, a father might want to stay at home, and the mom may want to go.
Shoo!
Is that
Introduce me to
correct?
someone making more money. I will put on. Give me the vacuum cleaner. I'll start dancing. Mm, mm.
Here we are.
That house will be
Oh,
spotless.
and you had no problem switching it up, would you? I hear you. I hear
Oh
you. You're
man.
my kind of a guy. Now tell me a little bit about the people. Now, people, tell me a little bit about the animals that came in. You said, "Don't worry, my little pups will come in." I want you to tell us their names and I know we can't see them, I don't believe, but you have two furry sons. I'm going to call them that
Yeah,
you
those are
love
my
dearly.
boys.
Tell us who their names and what types of dogs are they?
So Hagrid is a 7. He'll be 7 in November. He's a 7-year-old all black German Shepherd, and then Cloud is a German Pit mix, who is all
Mhm.
black as well. And I would say they are part of my triangle soul. I did not realize this, but as I had pets and as they really grew on me, the emphasis and the weight that I was really putting on the women that I was dating in the relationships that really isn't fair, in my opinion, of just like that emotional, you complete me and all that. I really am
Mhm.
understanding that weight is put on my animals. Like, obviously, it's not romantic. Please don't call the cops or anything. Like, what's going on?
Mhm.
But at the same time, at lunch, I'll come home and just like wrap my arms around and just like hold them because I just need that sense of relief. And I can
Mhm.
have that extension of myself with through a pet. It's not a
Mhm.
person like a partner or a kid. That's where those toxic, overbearing relationships can really come into play. And that's not really the relationships that I want, especially in 2023.
Mhm.
And that's part of that
Mhm.
maintenance side of being able to understand Haggard and Cloud. He's a year old. And when I lost my cat last year, and I didn't realize how much Haggard just really played with her. And
Mhm.
that really exerted me and put stress on me. And there was a lot of stress there. Those stressors that I never would have thought would have happened. So
Mhm.
having the three of us here, just being able to be able to rely on them emotionally, like whenever I need,
Mhm.
just to like wrap my arms around after a hard day, or just go. They force me to go outside. To be completely honest,
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
are the reasons why I will go outside multiple times a day. And when work gets very busy, to be honest, they're the reasons I eat. They're the reasons
Mhm.
I self maintain or I self take
Mhm.
care of myself because, oh, y'all need to eat. Oh, I need to eat. I completely forgot
Mhm.
because I'm doing so much stuff. So they really are part of that soul that keeps me whole,
Mhm.
which allows me
Mhm.
to have that, 20% space for a partner somewhere down the line to be able to understand that I've been in situations where a girl is just like, German Shepherds should never be pets. Peace. Oh, I'll see you later. I will never not be without my dogs. Like,
Oh,
see ya.
okay. See you. Wouldn't want to be you in all. Well, I'd say that pets feed the soul. That would be
Oh
my
yeah.
broad saying. That definitely. And I'm so glad that you introduced us to your pets and all. One day maybe we'll get a look at them as well. I want to transition this evening, though, however, good discussion about what it means to be an adult in 2023, season 3, episode number 25, with my special guest, Mr. Wayne Bond. And he also has what I said earlier, if you are just getting on, he has a YouTube channel. And his YouTube channel, I'm going to bring up the link for it once again, is entitled Wayne Reads. And on the screen now, you can see the handle for the YouTube channel. I'd like for you to take a screenshot of this or write it down. And I want you to go back after this episode in your leisure and look at the channel. And I want you to like, comment, and subscribe to his channel. And I tell you, you won't be disappointed. And it is your children, those kiddos that you have, very kid friendly channel. He is going to read for us now a short story, one in which he would most likely read or maybe even have read on his Wayne Reads channel. So I'm going to invite him now to share with us a short story this evening. And I'm going to take myself off the screen, and I'm going to let you have the screen and talk, and or those that are listening and are watching can actually enjoy this short story. And then I'll come back on when you're done.
No worries. Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope you're ready for another adventure, because today, Wayne reads Why the Sun and the Moon Live in the Sky. Always remember that as we go through these amazing adventures and read these outstanding stories, all you have to do is follow along with the story and like and subscribe for more awesome tales. So now, let's jump in. Many years ago, the sun and the water were great friends, and both lived on the earth together. The sun very often used to visit the water, but the water never returned his visits. At last, the sun asked the water why it was that he never came to see him in his house. The water replied that the sun's house was not big enough, and that he came with his people, he would drive the sun out. The water then said, If you wish for me to visit, you must build a very large house, but I warn you that I will have to be a very large that it will have to be a very large place, as my people are very numerous and take up a lot of room. The sun promised to build a very large house, and soon afterwards he returned to his wife, the moon, who greeted him with a broad smile. The sun told the moon that he had promised the water, and the sun told the moon what he had promised the water, and the next day began building a large house in which to entertain his friend. When it was completed, he asked the water to come and visit him. When the water arrived, one of his people called out to the sun and asked him whether it was safe for the water to enter, and the sun answered, Yes, tell my friend to come in. The water then began to flow in, accompanied by the fish and all the water animals. Very soon, the water was knee-deep, so he asked the sun if it was still safe, and the sun said again, yes, so more of them came in. When the water was level to the top of the man's head, the water said to the sun, Do you want more of my people to come in? And the sun and the moon both answered yes, not knowing any better. So the water people flowed in until the sun and the moon had to perch themselves on top of the roof. Again, the water addressed the sun. He received the same answer, so more of his people rushed in. The water very soon overflowed the top of the roof, and the sun and the moon were forced to go up into the sky, where they have remained ever since. Oh, wow. What an amazing story to learn about how the sun and the moon got up there. I wonder what's going to happen on the next adventure, but I can't wait to see you then. Bye-bye.
That was amazing. Excellent story. The sun and the moon. That's just a very excellent story. And you have such a way of expounding, and your vocal ability is just so soothing to listen to. And also, thank you. And the story was just a really good story, very short story, but one that was intriguing. And I could envision, I'm a visual person, so I could see the sun and I could see the moon. and I could see what you were saying, and I put myself right in the center of it. And
I
so
like that one.
thank you so much for sharing. And typically, when you do have your stories and you're reading them, like you said, you have the characters up above, like your head. You might have, your characters, the four of them. You said you have, right?
Yeah, and
And then
you actually saw me like I almost broke character. Was like, and I have. No, I don't have.
yeah, yeah, you almost did. So that was excellent. I appreciate it. I do. And so I want to make sure, once again, our listening audience, they know about Wayne Reed's, your channel, and the channel handle is here on the screen, and also about your anime channel that you have as well. And it's here. I will share that on the screen as well for them to be able to like, comment, and subscribe to that as well. This evening, once again, we were talking with my special guest, Mr. Wayne Bond, about what it does it mean to be an adult in 2023. And I am actually very thankful and grateful that you took out your time this evening after a long day of work, Wayne, to come on to this podcast and share. That shows me that you are a caring person and that you want to give back to the community. And thank you so much for just being you, unique, just a marvelous individual and African American leader in our community. We need more men like you. And I want to ask you before we end, is there anything that you want to share with our audience that maybe you didn't have an opportunity to before we close out tonight?
Ooh, good question. That's funny because like every time I automatically like go to work, I'm like, oh, so on campus we're about no one cares about that. So I would probably say every Sunday we have a stream with One Piece live reactions. That's more of like the long videos that I do on the anime channel, which is more podcast style and very engaging. So if anyone who's interested in more of that engaging tile piece, you can stop there. And in regards to just Wayne Reed's, email is there, so I always take suggestions.
Okay. Thank you so much once again for being my special guest this evening on the Lotus Flower Podcast for this episode. You have really enriched the audience and with your content that you shared this evening.
Thank
And
you.
know that you are welcome at any time to come back to the Lotus Flower Podcast. We'll give you a few months break and then we'll knock on that door once again and have you come back. I really enjoy having you on. Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Thank you for
Yes.
having me.
Yes. And I just wanted to know if you don't mind, every episode that I do, I close us in a moment of prayer for my audience, the people that are listening, and it just needs to have that closure. So we're gonna just do that once, and we're gonna go ahead and pray, and we're gonna just close out. I'm gonna stay on. You go ahead and log off afterwards, Mr. Wayne. You can log out, and then I'm going to take care of a few more housekeeping things, and then I'll log out as well. But this evening, I am so grateful, Lord Jesus, that I had again with me a wonderful person, Wayne Bond, to be with me this evening and to share, Lord God, about what it means to be an adult in 2023. I pray, Lord God, that someone in our listening audience and or those that are viewing will actually be benefiting from what was shared, even if it isn't tonight. Maybe it'll be 3 months from now, because we know this episode will go out and it will be on forever, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I just pray that someone would be encouraged and know that adulting takes work, but it is something that to be celebrated and embraced. And there is a continuum of adulting. You don't may not be where you are right now and want to be, but if you keep on going, you'll get there. Thank you, Mr. Wayne Bond, for coming and sharing from your heart and in such a genuine way. And thank you, listening audience, for embracing the fact and knowing that all Black men are not a monolith. They're not all cut from the same cloth, and that you can be unique and you can be yourself on this continuum of adulting. Now, we pray right now that you would bless my listening audience and those that are watching. And I pray a special blessing would be upon Wayne this evening. These are now other blessings we ask in the matchless name of Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Hmm.
And thank you so much. Okay. I
Thank you.
appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, my lifelong friend, too. Okay.
Thank you. You all take
Okay.
care.
Thank you. Have a good evening. I'll be watching. Talk to you later. Bye now. This evening, once again, the Lotus Flower Podcast, season number 3, episode number 25. I had with me tonight a very special guest, none other than my friend. I'm going to move over a little bit. My friend, Mr. Wayne Bond, and he spoke with us this evening from the topic of what does it mean to be an adult in 2023. We talked about responsibilities, relationships, what does everyone say would make you happy, but it didn't. We talked about what stressors are about when you are an adult that were not present in the generations ago. And we talked about what do adults do. I also shared with you Mr. Bond's channels. He has a channel that's an anime channel called Runway Warlords Anime Channel. And here is the link on the screen. And he also has a YouTube channel entitled Wayne Reads. And here's the link on the screen as well. Thank you so much for streaming with me this evening, for listening and or watching. The podcast streams live every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Dr. Pamela Robinson Facebook page and on the Lotus Flower YouTube channel. And then as of Thursday, when I've had an opportunity to go in and edit the podcast, it will be uploaded to my audio platforms, whereby you can listen to the audio platforms on whatever medium that you find your audio platforms 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I would like to thank you for joining me this evening. Be sure to like, comment, and to subscribe to this podcast. I don't want you all just coming on and listening every week and partaking of this good content without becoming subscribers. Come on, subscribe with me and let YouTube know that you enjoy the content that is aired every Tuesday on this platform so that they will continue to support it. I want you to know that it is the flower. It's the flower that's here on my book, both books. You can see I have my Blooming with Hope Parenting Educational Manual here, 3rd edition, and I have my Color of Hope African American Mental Health in the Church book here that was recently put into the Wake County library system here in Wake County, Durham, Raleigh, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. This book is in circulation. So if you don't want to purchase it on Amazon or through my website, you can actually go right to the library and check it out. What an honor. To God be the glory. But I want you to know, once again, that it is the flower that blooms in adversity, blooming, that is the greatest of them all. So never quit, never give up. Keep on keeping on. In wellness, grace, and humility, I am Dr. Pamela Robinson. Thank you for joining me this evening. I look forward to seeing you once again in this virtual and audio space next Tuesday evening, streaming live on the Dr. Pamela Robinson Facebook page and on the Lotus Flower YouTube channel. Bye-bye for now.